Champions for Hire.
Welcome back to GMs for Hire. I'm Matthew Perry. Joining me today is John Quirello, and we have our first golf video on the channel. We are doing a little weekend preview of the 121st U.S. Open from Torrey Pines Golf Course in California. John, you've played there before, so I trust you when you talk about this course and everything around it. But we just finished up round 2 today. I'll give you guys a little rundown of the leaderboard. Tied for first, some surprising names you wouldn't really expect. Richard Bland and Russell Henley, both 5 under, had very good rounds and very good first 2 rounds, shooting 70 and 67 for Bland, and then Henley 67 and 70. They're playing very well, and names you wouldn't really expect up top. So always fun seeing a name you don't expect running the leaderboard. And tied for third, we have more common names. Louis Oosthuizen, he's 4 under, and Matthew Wolff, the young gun, he's also 4 under. And then tied for fifth, the lefty Bubba Watson, he's 3 under, as is John Rahm. He is 3 under as well. After watching round 2 today, what were your impressions of everyone out there?
Biggest thing is the amount of hole outs early. You saw guys like Ches Reavie.
Yeah.
I think he holed out from 171 for eagle in the morning rounds. Then the afternoon, you could kind of see that the greens started to show a little bit more teeth. 2 of the hole outs this morning had backspin that actually came back to the hole in the afternoon, seeing that unless they were hitting into an incline, the greens were not very receptive. So as the weekend goes, and you can't tell by being on the West Coast that the greens are going to firm up as the day gets on. That morning fog layer that comes in everywhere over on the coast is going to continue to soften things up just enough. So the guys that are going to go out early are going to have a chance to kind of claw their way back into it. And then the afternoon will come around just like it did today. And it's going to be some tough sledding for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, as things go on throughout the day, conditions definitely change, especially on the course. I mean, it's being played on, and you can definitely see the wear take place as the day moves on. Some significant cuts, a couple of vets that did not make it to Saturday's play. Matt Kuchar, he shot 6 over. Tony Finau, 8 over. Henrik Stenson, 10 over. Justin Rose, 13 over. And we've been had an injury. Victor Hovland in warmups got some bunker sand in his eye, and that caused him to withdraw. He's currently got a bandage over it. He made an Instagram post about it, but who knew? I guess sand can get to you, and you definitely need your eyes to play. So we wish him a speedy recovery. But John, what went wrong for these vets? I mean, these are typically guys that you see contending when you get to the weekend.
The biggest thing that I see coming out is being able to hit the ball into the fairway. Fairways and greens are going to be obviously at any U.S. Open are going to be your most important quality. Guys like Finau had a lot of trouble off of the tee and was not really able to recover from it. Henrik Stenson was after the 5th hole yesterday, was in kind of a bad mindset. Things were not really going his way. He had missed a couple of short putts, and that I think kind of probably cascaded to the way that he was hitting the ball as it went on. Hitting it in the rough at a course like this with the grass that they have out there and as thick as it is, it's very difficult to score, even if you are that type of player. So, I mean, Finau really surprised me probably the most, because I thought that he had a really good chance to kind of make it to the weekend and maybe even do some damage. He loves the West Coast. He's very familiar with the grasses out there, especially the Poana on the greens. And seeing him play the way he did really kind of shocked me a little.
Yeah, I mean, these are names, like I said, that you typically tend to see when you get to the weekend rounds, but I guess it just didn't really work out for them. Give me your favorite shot from the first 2 rounds. There have been plenty of great ones, so I mean, there's no real wrong answer here. But what did you like the most?
Obviously, the Ches Reavie hole out today was absolutely fantastic. One of the other ones that really kind of, for me, as a player, somebody that's played in this situation before, was the actual layup that came from, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was on the 7th hole and it was Xander Schauffele who had hit the ball into the rough, knew that he had a really tough lie that he could not force to the green, and he actually punched it down to about 63 yards, got it up and down for par. And that's what I love about the US Open, the people that play it smart like that. They don't try and take too much and try and go for too much. They put themselves in bad situations. And that's how you score well at a US Open.
Yeah. I mean, really, sometimes that's just the best way to go. I mean, laying up, playing it safe. You can't take risks, especially when it's tight towards the top, and really every shot counts at this point. You might not be near the cut line. Xander wasn't, but you still got to keep moving up the leaderboards, keep gaining momentum. And even though he only made par with that hole, I mean, the shot leading to it, that's an important one, because if he sends it too long, if he tries to take that risk, it could have ended up really bad for him, and who knows where he'd be at the end of round two if not for what he did there. So I agree. Some of the safest, I mean, you could call it a boring shot because it's not a hole out from 171 out like Reeve, but no, I mean, sometimes you get the best results from the safest shots. So I definitely don't blame you for that one. I want to talk surprises, but I think we all really know what the surprises are, and that has to be Richard Bland and Russell Henley. I mean, they're at the top of the leaderboard. These are guys that many basic golf fans aren't super familiar with, but I know you are. So if you maybe want to share a little bit of information on them, that'd be cool.
Sure. Russell Henley is actually what you would call probably that middle of the pack PGA Tour guy, the guy that makes a lot of cuts, makes a lot of money, never goes back to Q school, just that solid player, wins here and there in a lot of the smaller tournaments. The Richard Bland thing completely has me thrown off, and like everybody else, Richard is 48 years old, out of the UK. Has been to the European Tour qualifying school on 9 different occasions just to try and get his card. Worked his way back there last year by having a lot of success on the European Challenge Tour. Has won 2 events in 27 years as a golf professional, and then all of a sudden here he is leading the US Open and just playing immaculate golf. It's I'm sure that nobody expected it, and probably not even him or his family.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him hold on to this though, because what a story it would be if Bland can hold on and win this thing. I mean, we've seen plenty of underdog victories or great performances in majors before, especially in the US Open. But something like this coming from Europe and in a place where you have to keep battling to keep your card even. I mean, that's kind of like the depths of professional golf there. Like you're really
Right.
down towards almost rock bottom, I would say. And to work your way up and contend in a major, I mean, he has to be feeling great right now. And, he's playing great. He looks real good out there. And I mean, at 48 years old, your first major, your first PGA Tour win, I mean, that's got to be a dream. And I'm sure, I mean, clearly he's worked so hard, over the years. He's been in the game for pretty much, I'm sure, almost his whole life. And
Right.
yeah, I mean, that's got to be a great story. So I think that's the best storyline, as well as surprise. Has to be Bland. Of course, it'd be a great story if Henley does it too. But Bland is, I mean, he's older. He's gone through what seems like a lot more. And Henley,
Right.
like
Yeah.
you said, yeah, he's that middle of the pack guy. But yeah, Bland is doing real special things out there. I wanted to mention weather because in golf, I mean, it's always a factor. California, we have the early morning fog that rolls in right off from the ocean. And I know you've played here before. You've played at Torrey Pines. So I figured, I mean, it's a great thing to ask, not only about the weather, but the conditions of the course. How does a round 3 course differ from around 1? What wear and tear takes place? I know we looked at the forecast and things look good, besides the fog and maybe a little bit of wind. But yeah, what do you think about the conditions of the course moving into the weekend?
I think a lot of it is going to depend on what the USGA decides to do tonight. Are they happy with the scoring the way that it is, or are they going to not be happy that the cut fell at 4 over par and decide to take it out on the guys by not cutting the rough, by double rolling the greens to increase some of the speeds on the greens? There's a lot of things that they can do to that golf course to make it either tougher or actually easier, depending on what they're looking for out of this. A lot of the complaints were that, and it happens every year, people feel like the USGA is setting it up to embarrass the pros. but you've got all of these guys within 9 shots of the lead, and the lead being 5 under. I don't think that's the case at all. Now with the weather, obviously the morning rounds are going to be probably a little bit easier to score because the golf course and the greens are going to be a little bit more receptive. But 76 degrees and sunny on Saturday and Sunday gives the guys that are towards the top of the leaderboard a little bit of a challenge. As the day goes on and the warmer it gets, the more that offshore wind picks up, like usually around 11 o'clock their time. The wind will increase between 5 and 15, some gusty winds. It will dry the greens out, which is going to make them a lot firmer. The biggest thing anytime you play on the West Coast is the Poa annua greens. Poa annua is a grass that, as the day goes on, has a tendency to stand up. The more people walk on it, the more people use it, the more the ball will actually bounce on the way to the hole, and you don't really get a true roll. So those guys in the morning are going to play on very nice putting surfaces. In the afternoons, you're going to see that ball on those high def cameras probably start bouncing a little bit, make things a little bit tougher for the guys.
I think that's a great point there. I want to see, looking forward tomorrow, how scores may differ with the morning guys and the afternoon guys, because will shots on the fairway go farther? Will they? How will they differ, and how will it affect the score? Because tee times, you don't. For me, I mean, I am an average golf fan. I'm not the super fan that John is here. I will admit that firsthand. And I'm not super familiar with grass. That's not my thing. But I do find it really, really interesting how tee times and just even a certain kind of grass can really change scores and how a player performs. And it's something you don't oftentimes think about in sports. It's a very minuscule thought, at least in most sports, when you think of the ground conditions, besides, keeping it dry or stuff like that, cut a certain length, which also matters in golf. But, that's definitely interesting. And I do definitely want to watch out for that and see if that has any effect. Do we have the tee times for tomorrow yet, or do they not release those?
I don't know if they got released tonight. They'll probably be released first thing in the morning. But
Okay.
But again, you've got all of the leaders going off late afternoon, and the guys that are around the cut line going off in the morning wave.
So those of you watching, you'll see what happens firsthand. If you're watching tomorrow, tuning in, maybe John's right. Maybe shit will change moving forward into those later afternoon rounds. But looking ahead, actually, let me ask you this. Bland and Henley, we've already spoken quite a bit about them, but what can they do to stay on top? Because it's not easy.
The biggest key to what anybody can do as far as going forward, especially in a U.S. Open situation, don't go for something that you're not comfortable with. Don't take risks that are unnecessary. Take your medicine when you hit a bad shot. Try and recover, move it into the past. You obviously want to take advantage when you have a green light situation. You want to be aggressive when you can be, but don't compound a mistake by making another mistake because you get too aggressive out of a bad situation. And then the third key, and this is something that's been preached for, it's in like 97 PGA with Brad Faxon, is stay in the present. Everything that you've done, you hit a bad shot, it's over with. Now you move on to the next shot, you stay there. You don't worry about the future. You don't worry about 3 holes left and, oh my God, I've got a chance to win the US Open. If you do it, it's disaster. So you always want to stay in the present, stay as close as you can mentally, and just take it one shot at a time. But again, it's the US Open, and it's not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about it with your favorite shot from Xander, and that just being playing it safe. So I do agree with you that I think the best thing they could do is play it safe. Don't get too confident, because you got to remember you're the guy that was fighting for your card over in Europe. You're still that guy, but this is what you've been waiting for. So I definitely think they need to stay humble, stay focused, and really just play their game, because if they're worried about anybody else out there, if they get overwhelmed by the star power, because there are still plenty of stars out there, although surprisingly a lot of them are underperforming, that could change. That could change in a round. It could change by the end of the weekend. We could have Dustin Johnson coming all the way back from T30 and winning this.
Anybody within 6 shots, I think has a chance.
you never know. It's golf. Anything can
Right.
happen within 18
And,
holes.
and especially under this much pressure being the US Open, it's a different type of pressure, a different type of feeling when you walk on that first tee.
Yeah.
Um, it is what everybody dreams of when you start playing golf. You know, you always talk about as a kid, I did it all the time, you know, this putt to win the US Open. You've got all of that going through your mind, especially on Sunday. It's got to be one of the most nerve-wracking things anybody can go through in golf.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big moment for them. So hopefully they don't let the pressure get to them and they're able to stay towards the top. But speaking of the top guys, speaking of the Dustin Johnsons, guys like McIlroy, Spieth, Johnson, they're all underperforming right now. They're all tied for 21st and 30th and even
Mhm.
58th. Spieth has been really, really struggling. What can these guys do to make a comeback? You know, there's only 36 holes left. They got to make them count. How do they come back from this?
Uh, I, in Spieth's situation, I don't think it's possible. Um, Dustin Johnson, maybe. A lot of it's going to depend. He just did not strike the ball well at all today. He's not putting terribly well. And, you know, it's like we were talking about earlier. If you're having trouble hitting fairways, it means that you're going to have trouble hitting greens. And if you're not putting well, there's just no way for you to score. And when you're that far behind, you can either have all of that come together in one magical Saturday on moving day and elevate yourself into contention, or you continue to do the same thing and you just keep yourself further away. Jordan has no idea where the ball's going right now off the tee, and he's been like that for quite a while. He's gotten away with it because his short game and his iron play is so good. But again, at a U.S. Open, if you're having trouble off the tee, it doesn't matter how good your iron play is, you're not going to be able to score. So, I mean, the best thing that they can do is go out, take it one hole at a time. Be, like I said, be aggressive when you can, but mostly play safety. Don't put up big numbers. Take your pars, take a bogey here or there, make the birdies when you can, and that'll give you opportunity. And then you almost have to hope that the guys that are 4 or 5 shots ahead of you, the pressure gets to them and they come back to you a little bit.
So before we head out, we have to do favorites. I mean, it's part of sports, really. Who, John, do you think? Give me 3 actually. Who are your 3 favorites to finish atop the leaderboard come Sunday?
I really like Xander Schauffele, the way that he's playing, being his home course, his hometown. I think it would be an amazing story, but he's also playing very well. John Rahm, obviously, the redemption story from the Memorial and the COVID incident, I think would be just amazing. And I think he, you know, after losing out on $1.2 million, it might be okay if he gets the U.S. Open. He may forget all about it. My other one is Louis Oosthuizen, because I just think that he's such a good technical player. He is very consistent fairways, greens. If he has the putter going, then I think it's going to be really good for him. But those would probably be my 3 faves.
And then if you had some dark horses, some underdogs, give me 3 of those.
Bubba Watson, if he continues to hit the ball the way he's hitting, and most importantly for him, putting is going to be the key for him over the weekend. Lee Westwood is a little bit back, but I mean, he's just played so well all year that something like this, I think, is something that the way that he plays the game, he, you know, possibly be around there on Sunday, late Sunday, and see what happens. And it may sound weird taking a dark horse as a favorite, but Richard Bland, I get that he's in the lead right now, but I
No,
mean,
I mean that's
he's
fair.
never been in this position before, and I just think that obviously it would be an amazing story, but I mean, I still think that the chances of him winning are probably well worse than these other guys. So
No, I mean I don't blame you for that dark horse pick at all. Because yeah, like you said, he's never been here before. I mean, I'm sure 2008. If you're picking a dark horse after the first couple rounds, Rocco Mediate,
exactly,
even
yeah.
though even though he's towards the top, that's still a dark horse because he's never done that before. So
Mhm.
I don't blame you for that at all. But in the end, it'll be interesting to see. We still have 36 more rounds of golf. A lot of golf to be played. I'll tell you that. A lot can happen in 36 rounds. So we'll keep an eye on it. I hope you guys do too. I hope you guys enjoyed our U.S. Open kind of weekend preview, what to watch for this weekend. Plenty of good stuff happening over in California at Torrey Pines. So for John and for myself, this has been GMs for Hire. we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.